Welcome back, and of course the world is all, very interested in what's going on in the Middle East. There's a term out there called cognitive warfare. What is it? Well, I'm really honored to have back with us today Casey Fleming, as a counterintelligence expert and CEO of Black Ops Partners, advising global leaders on national security, cognitive warfare, strategic risk. He's a best-selling author of The Red Tsunami, and has advised Fortune 500 companies, Congress, the Pentagon, U.S. intelligence and security agency, and emerging global threats. There's a picture of his book there on the screen. Check that out. And his website is blackopspartners.com. blackopspartners.com, and there's a picture of that landing page. Casey, good to have you back. How are you?
Great to see you. Thanks for having me.
You bet. Boy, a lot to talk to you about, short amount of time. What is cognitive warfare?
Cognitive warfare is the battle for the mind. And you have to understand that that's the mind for the rest of that person's life. It's not just something on a Sunday. It's for every day for the rest of their lives. So it's really controlling what you think and how you think moving forward, how you process information. So it's basically giving you the framework. It's psychological operations, changing the framework in your brain, taking out critical thinking. So all you are is basically a rabbit. You're just absorbing information and doing what you're told to do. Cognitive warfare, it's happening to all of our children now on TikTok. I can send you examples. If you love your kids, if you love your grandkids, get them the heck off of TikTok. As well as all social media is my personal advice to you. But cognitive warfare is changing the way your kids think. And right now, Gen Z and the younger generations spend 9 hours a day on social media, most of that on TikTok. They get their news from a Chinese communist application called TikTok. So cognitive warfare is one of just over 100 different methods that our enemy is using to weaken us from the inside so they never have to fire a shot. Back to you.
How does public education play into this argument?
Public education has been compromised. It's called education war, and the battle for your child and your child's mind as well. They have completely stopped teaching Americanism, American history, our values, our Constitution, and they're replacing it with all this other Marxist, communist type of stuff, as well as radical Islam. That cannot be ignored as well. All of these are hitting our kids in elementary school, middle school, high school, college. We have to take our country back, and that's the reason I wrote the book. It's written for every American, man, woman, and child, because what we just talked about is they're on the front lines of this war, not the military. And to our enemy's plan, the military will never be involved. So this is the first war where it's every man, woman, and child. So I wrote this book for every mailbox, for everyone to understand how they're being played or attacked and what they can do. And honestly, I got to be honest, it's not a book. It's an expose exposing and the intelligence and connecting the dots, and a survival guide on what to do next.
Okay, so my next question, I want to come back to the core of this, but my big question, what is the antidote to this? What's the answer to this?
3 things. Your enemy does not want you to be informed. If you become informed, they don't want you to unite. If you unite, they don't want you to take action. The book gets you informed. It'll give you the framework, and it'll open up the clouds. It'll pull back the curtain. So now you can decipher, you can decode what has happened in the past, the present, and the future. So it gives you that amount. It not only gives you the information and the counterintelligence, it actually gives you a framework. And this book is for high schoolers to read and college to read, and everybody, every other American, Canadian, Brit, and all that. But the second thing is we have a movement next to the book. It's called freedomforever.global. And that's the movement to where everybody unites and they take action to do all the 3 things that your enemy does not want you to do. And incidentally, the enemy is the axis. It's China is the grand puppeteer. Underneath them is Russia, Iran, Pakistan, Venezuela, North Korea, and a few others. Underneath Iran are the terrorist organizations, and one thing I didn't mention was also the drug cartels. So that's all part of unwinding the United States for full and complete takeover in the very near future. I actually have a quote: "The world will become won or lost within the next 10 years." What that means is it'll either be all free or it will all be communist.
It seems to be breaking up, or am I too hopeful?
You're too hopeful. Yes, there's initial volleys. You're at the tip of the iceberg. You're in the first inning of the World Series. So yes, we've got some temporary wins with Venezuela, with one drug cartel member taken out. It was the biggest cartel, the worst cartel, and they had activities and operations in all 50 states. And now Iran. But make no mistake, the Chinese, all roads lead back to the Chinese Communist Party. Iran was their forward operating base in the Middle East. They were strategic partners on weapons, chips for those weapons, mass production for those weapons, fuel for those weapons, refined rocket fuel for those weapons, and so on. So that's the Iran piece of it. Venezuela was the forward operating base in the Western Hemisphere for Russia and China and Iran. And they were feeding Venezuela, and out of Venezuela, they were feeding Cuba. So we've got some bright lights that are happening, but don't be lulled into a false sense of security. This war that the Chinese Communist Party is in, it's called unrestricted war. It's everything but kinetic, as I described earlier. It's everything but the military and conventional war. And it's on every man, woman, and child. So that war is still happening in your living room, on your airplanes, at your office, in your cars, in your grocery stores, and in your schools. That's unrestricted warfare.
With the recent attack and exposure of the hypocrisy of DEI and CRT, is that played into this equation at all?
It's covered in my book. All of it is covered in my book. Iran is covered in my book. And by the way, I wrote the book not for me. I didn't need to write a book, and I still don't want to write a book, but it's done. The book is for God and country, because we have, and by the way, we represent over 20 of the top intelligence experts around the world, as well as subject matter experts. It's not just Casey's book, it's also God's book. So all of that is covered. Those are weapons of war. Those are meant to destabilize the United States for complete and utter takeover. They do it with younger generations. And so there was a survey done, a poll done about a month ago. It's by Rasmussen. And they surveyed 1,500 Gen Zs and Gen Xs. And 51% of them said they wanted democratic socialists in the White House in 2028. That's telling you that we have failed to educate our children. We have failed as adults and as parents to get into their heads and into their minds and show them the love and to show them the way. And if you don't do it, then guess what? Your schools, elementary schools, junior high schools, middle schools, and high schools and colleges, they're putting that information into your kids for them to vote for a democratic socialist. And incidentally, democratic socialist is just a perfume name for communism.
Where is the faith community in this argument? I mean, I've watched a lot of pastors, preachers shy away from any of these social issues because they are deemed as political, not spiritual. Have we dropped the ball?
We have dropped the ball. They are all combined. There's a chapter in the book on religious warfare. There's also a chapter in the book on spiritual warfare. That is the key piece of it here. Every pastor needs to read this book, and every pastor needs to shake it in front of their congregation, because they are one. They cannot be separated. You have to discuss politics because that's where they're hitting us. Ignoring politics only allows them and their boss, Satan, to gain very, very strong ground. And let me make it very clear to the audience and to my fellow pastor buddies. Spiritual warfare. You stand up in front of the congregation and you say it's spiritual warfare, God versus Satan. Okay, that's great. The congregation says, yeah, that's bad stuff. They walk out and they say, what's for lunch? They don't understand what that means to them going home that day or the next day when they wake up. They don't understand what it is for their family or their friends or their colleagues or their country. So most people do not understand and don't know this, that communism and Marxism are a religion. They are a religion. You must worship the head of the state as God with a little g. Okay, there cannot be any other gods, and especially the real God with the big G. So, if you have to worship the state, that means they're anti-God and anti-Christ. Well, what's another word for anti-Christ? Satan. So let me make it real simple. If you believe in God, you cannot believe in Marxism, socialism, or communism because they are anti-God and they are Satan. So if you're Team God with the big G, you've already made your decision. You're for God and you're anti-communism, and those guys that are anti-Christ, which are the communists, Marxists, and socialists. And by the way, they're all part of the same train. Socialism and Marxism weaken you where you vote in. It's names like suicide because you're voting them in. And communism, there's no voting. They just come in and drop the hammer. And you do what we tell you to do, or we torture you, or we kill your family. It's that serious. And that's what's going on behind the scenes. It's stealth. If you don't know how to connect the dots, you don't see it. You don't put it all together. And again, that's why I wrote the book.
All right, the book is entitled The Red Tsunami. Check it out online. And check out his website, blackopspartners.com. There's a picture of the cover of the book. There's a picture of the landing page. Let me take a quick break. We'll have some more questions for Casey when we come back. Okay, welcome back, and honored to have with us Casey Fleming. He's a counterintelligence expert and the CEO of Black Ops Partners, and you can go to blackopspartners.com. That's his website. But his book, as he's calling it, is an expose, is a must-read. It's called The Red Tsunami, and there's a picture of that cover on the screen, The Silent Storm Killing Your Freedom, and has to do with what they call is cognitive warfare. Fascinating. Casey, I was thinking through the break there, a little bit of a hypothetical, but I'd like to get your perspective. How close did we come from totally losing it with the Biden administration?
Absolutely danger close. Everything they did was supporting the communists in the takeover of not just the United States, the rest of the free world. Our brothers and sisters in the UK, in Canada, are much further down the road. On a scale of 1 to 10, they're about a 9.9, and we're about a 9.4. So we came danger close.
How much of an interruption was the election of Trump?
Significant interruption, to the point where they wanted to execute him, assassinate him a couple of times. So it's very serious. Everything's against us now. Our country, World War II happened, was the last World War. This is World War III, and you are in it today, whether you like it or understand it or realize it or not. It's unrestricted war. It's all these different methods to weaken you and your family for complete takeover, again, without ever firing a shot. So all of this stuff is fully baked in our schools, our companies. We have a lot of woke companies. We have congressmen are taking money in their re-election PACs from the Chinese Communist Party. Again, all roads lead back to the Chinese Communist Party. I just told you about Iran, Venezuela, WEF, Greenland. 90% of the news is covered in the book. And I'm not selling books, by the way. Like I said, this is for God and country. And that's why I stepped out of the shadows to be able to help all my brothers and sisters. I'd like to go back to another point that you made earlier, the pastors and the religious community. This connects the dots for the congregation. Now they understand how Satan is presenting himself in your everyday lives, and it gives you clarity in understanding that. So the book is the friend and pulling this together for everybody.
Thank you. I think people would agree, psychologically, there's something wrong. We're just witnessing sheer crazy. I mean, absolute crazy. And we're calling it everything, and we're bouncing off the walls. We're almost borderline passing it as a bad case of cynicism, but it's there, and it seems to be a cancer we can't get rid of. Is that what you're trying to tell us?
I'm absolutely telling you, it's the biggest threat that you will ever have in your lifetime. Everybody watching, your family, your extended family, this is the threat. It's secretly, that's why it's the silent storm killing your freedom. It's secretly taking over your minds, your bodies, your health. We lose 150,000, let me say, 150,000 young Americans, military-aged American men and women are murdered every year, 150,000. It's double the number that the government actually reports. The last time we lost 150,000 people a year was in a war, which was World War II. That was on every page in the newspaper, and it was on every newsreel because we were losing 150,000 in a world war. Well, that world war, just one facet of that war has never ended because we're losing that many to fentanyl murders every day. That's like 2 737s going down every day. Why do you not hear about that in the news? Why do you not hear about that as well as all of what I'm saying in mainstream media? It's because it's compromised. So you're being shown and taught in schools and on the media and in movies and in Hollywood. You're being taught this alternate universe, this alternate propaganda other than the truth of really what's happening. So we are at the end. The Chinese Communist Party and the Chinese call it death by 1,000 cuts, and we're in about 950 plus on that death by 1,000 cuts.
I think we're all have our brains on tilt that we went from 9/11 to New York actually electing a radical Islamist to be mayor. That clearly underscores what you're trying to communicate to us. But what's your take on that?
That's the problem. The rest of us are asleep at the wheel. Everybody wants to know what time the Cowboys are on and what's for dinner and what time's my golf game or Amber's cheerleading practice. You have to step up and be an adult, be a parent, and be there for your kids and be there for yourself. We cannot ignore what's happening. You've got to connect the dots and see for yourself. It'll open your eyes. It'll light up the cockpit of your life when you connect the dots. It's very critical. We're out of time. If you like football, we're in the 2-minute warning in the fourth quarter, and there are no timeouts left. It's time to get your act together and get involved because they're beating us. They're beating us at the polls. And by the way, when I say us, I'm talking about 90% of Americans. What they want you to see is you're only seeing on mainstream media and in the print, a lot of the print, you're only seeing what they want you to see. And that's the radical less than 10%, the radical hard left. When I speak to left audiences, as well as right audiences, they come to center. Once they understand that they're being played, the left is being played just as much as the right is. We all share a common enemy. That is the Chinese Communist Party, their axis, and their uncle, which is Satan. So we all share a common enemy, and we all share common friendship with ourselves, the left and the right. Once you have the facts, you're going to see that everybody's being played equally for complete and total takeover in less than 10 years.
How do we and can we win this?
Number one, I hate to sound cheesy, but get the book. Just get informed. Get the book. It'll wake you up. It'll open your eyes. That's why I wrote it. Number two, stop buying Chinese goods and services. Quit funding the enemy who is destroying you and your family. Once you read the book, it'll become abundantly clear. That cute top off of Shein or Temu isn't worth it. Or that knockoff purse off of DHgate ain't worth it. Not your kid's life. So stop buying Chinese goods and services. Stop doing business with companies who do business in China or are invested in China. Number two, fly that American flag in your front yard, on the back window of your car, on your kid's backpack. Fly it everywhere in defiance of the communists and in defiance of Satan. Number three is we've got to stop. We've got to vote people in office who are going to fix this. We've got to stop all foreign influence. Stop foreign influence. That means any type of influence, and most of the time it's either cash or it's blackmail. You've allowed yourself to be blackmailed because our Congress, a lot of companies in Wall Street are compromised. And let me be very clear. God gives us our freedom. That freedom is protected by the Constitution. That the power is with every person. And we tell the government what to do. What's happened over the past 30 years is the government's been telling us what to do and taking our freedom away. So now's the time to take control of your life. Get the book in the hands of everybody you know. And by the way, give a nice review, because the book must go viral for it to be effective and to fight the left and to fight this satanic thing that's going on in our lives. And it's a fight to the finish. Like I said, it's a fight to the finish. This time it's for all the marbles, and we just don't know that we're in the fight and we're on the front lines.
It appears, Casey, from what I sense and see and people that I talk to, that your alarm about China is real. People understand it. A lot of people do understand. A lot of people don't, but a lot of people are getting exactly what you're talking about. But at the same time, China's being weakened. Their economy is in shambles. They're now really stressed out without oil from Venezuela and maybe from the Strait of Hormuz. They may not even have enough to feed their own people and keep their military alive. Is that a factor?
That is a factor, but let me give you the other side of that equation. These guys are committed, nasty, diabolical people. They're working on other viruses, COVID-2, COVID-3, viruses to be dispersed through drones in nanoparticles over malls, over outdoor events, sporting events, and so on. I'll just say one thing: cornered rat syndrome. They're radical. They're diabolical. It's a dark mafia regime. It's one step above evil, and it's called diabolical. And so when these guys, here's the point: the way to fix that is have a war. If you need cash, start a war. Everything's reset when you start a war in your economy. So that's what's going on. Yes, we've weakened them, but also expect cyber attacks, fentanyl to be increased, all these other methods of unrestricted warfare. Expect all of that to be increased, and at the same time, stop paying them. We're still buying Chinese goods and services, so we're their biggest trading partner. And so if we do all these things combined, we definitely want them on the ropes, but they're not going to go away. And they're going to fight nasty. And it's absolutely a terrorist organization. There's no question about it.
Yeah. Last question. Where does your personal faith come into this?
Personal faith for me has always been private. Religion, politics, and how much money you make is always private, right? But in this thing and in this journey, my faith has come out full on. I was raised Catholic. I went to Catholic school, all that. And I went to Mass 10 times a week when I was an altar boy at Christmas time, and then also during Lent. So got a little bit of religion under my belt. So where that comes into it, I'm actually a warrior for God, and I pray every night. I'm your servant, and I'm your warrior. Tell me what else you want me to do in your word. Tell me what else. And this book, I will tell you, when I sat down to write the outline, I wrote it in about 3 hours. That's it. And the outline never changed. And then the book is 10x the book I ever wanted to write. Because when I finished one part of the book, it said somebody else would pop into my life that I needed to talk to or I needed to align with. And so this is God's book. I'm not kidding you. And I'm proud to say it. When I came from a childhood and a background where religion's private. You don't push your religion on other people. I'm not pushing my religion on anybody, but I'm telling you, this is God's book.
Okay. The book is entitled The Red Tsunami, available online, Casey, and anywhere books are sold?
Yes.
And the bottom line you want people to walk away from is what, in 30 seconds?
Get the book. It's not for me. It's for God and country. It's for you. Secondly, understand this is a real threat. It's a 9.4 out of 10. It's very close to being 9.5. It's just seconds to midnight on the doomsday clock. I can't express it any more than that. And then stop buying Chinese goods.
All right, check it out, Red Tsunami, online at bookstores. And, of course, check out Casey's website, blackopspartners.com. Thank you, Casey. Let's stay connected. God bless you, my friend.
My pleasure. God bless you.